All right, welcome back, students. In this video, we're going to cover, lesson 10.1, this is circles and circumference. A lot of this stuff you guys would have learned probably starting in the 4th grade, covered it again in the 6th, maybe again in the 8th. I don't have the standards and all that in front of me. I'm just kind of guessing, but some of this will be, most of this shouldn't be new. Some of it might be, so let's just get to it. So a circle is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a given point called the center of the circle. Like over here, X is our center, and all these points are equidistant from X. That's what makes it a circle. All right, so a chord is any segment with endpoints on the edge of the circle. So we'll just do this. So a chord would be RS. ZT is also a chord, but it's the diameter. So that's a little different. We'll talk about that in just a second. So RS is a chord, limited on colors. So radius or radii for multiple. So these are all going to begin with X because it goes from the middle and it touches the side. So a segment from the center to the edge of the circle. So it's half the diameter. So here, like XU, XT, XB, and XZ. See, this is two radii, which makes the diameter. So speaking of diameter, I'm going to draw the red above it. So you see the whole thing is the diameter. And it's a chord, so it's also a chord, but it passes through the center of the circle. Both endpoints are on the edge of the circle. It's twice the radius. So see, it's inside the circle. It doesn't leave. All right, circumference. That's the perimeter for a circle. I will say on the EOC, they're good about saying circumference, or they'll just say, they may just say perimeter. You just have to remember that the perimeter of a circle is the circumference. So hopefully we remember those. Got some formulas here, and these are all on the reference sheet, except this guy. So the diameter is twice the radius, or the radius is the half of the diameter. So the diameter divided by 2. So you have to remember that. Now, circumference is pi times the diameter, or the circumference is 2 times the radius times pi. Because remember, the diameter is 2 of the radius. All right, so let's go over here. Excuse me, sorry. All right, list all the examples of the following. So the center of the circle. Well, the center is X. This would be, and this is how you write it, so circle X. And that's the symbol for a circle. So, and it's always named the center. So, if you have the practice, you should have some problems that are asking you about that. All right, so chords. I'm going to make these green because it was chord here. So your chords are RS and ZT. Even though ZT is the diameter, it's also a chord. All right, radii, blue. All right, so again, starts with X. So XT, XU, XV, and XZ. So it all starts with X because that's the center. Diameter goes through the center. That is ZT. Just going to write that differently. All right, let's go down here. Example 1. And I want to mention that going forward, as I told my folks in class, and I know your other teachers, that if you don't have me are telling you the same thing, pi is the button on the calculator unless it says otherwise. You know, sometimes Alex or McGraw-Hill might say pi equals 3.14. If it says that, you're welcome to use that. But if it doesn't tell you that, then please, 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 when it says pi, use the button on the calculator. All right, so find the radius, the diameter, and the circumference of the circle. All right, so the radius is from the middle to the edge, so that's 17. The diameter, well, that's 2 times the radius, so 2 times 17 would be 34. And the circumference is pi times the diameter, which is 34 pi. And sometimes they'll ask you for the answer in terms of pi. You would leave it there, but we want the real answer, so we're going to go use our calculator and hit 34 times, and then we're going to use the pi button because that is the only thing we use unless it tells us otherwise. Sorry, got too far away. All right, so we got 106.8 for that. All right, so let's go down here. Go down to example 2. All right, so traffic circles, also known as roundabouts. They're circular roadways like this guy here that reflow traffic in one direction around an island. So you'll come in here. There's a little driver's ed for you. So you go around the island. You may get off here. Well, nope, you need to keep going. Just don't keep going back around because then unless you mean to make a big U-turn. So, and of course, for our question here, our person is going to go all the way around. So they don't know where they're going. So, but that's okay. All right, so traffic circles, circular roadways. All right, a car enters this traffic circle, and it's 18 meters from the center. So if it's over here, and that's the edge of the circle, like where this thing goes, from there to the center, that's the radius. So the radius is 18 meters. We're going to write that under there. If a car drives around the circle until it's back to the original position, so it comes off this exit, and it drives all the way around until it's back here. So that's why I said they didn't even do a U-turn. They kept going, so they're confused. But they want to know how far that is. So that's the circumference, and it is 2 times the radius times pi. So we have 2 times, it told us 18 meters was the radius times pi. 2 times 18 is 36. So if we had it in terms of pi, you would stop there, but we don't want that. One second. So 36 times pi is 113.09. What did it say? Yeah, it didn't tell us to round. So we're going to say 113. And it's 0.097. We'll just say 0.09. Or you could say 113.1, and it's meters. All right. Okay, flipping the page. Try to be quick, just trying to make it to the chorus concert tonight. Shout out to anybody in the chorus. If you watch this, or you know somebody in the chorus, or, come say hey, and say, hey, my friend so-and-so is in the chorus, or hey, I'm in the chorus. Anyway. So, example 3. Sorry, I can't get the paper straight. This thing. All right, so find the diameter and the radius of a circle to the nearest 100th. If the circumference is 77.8. So, again, I'm going to do the example. You guys are going to do the practice. This is our I do, you do. It wasn't like that on the front page. So, nearest 100th. So, all we got to do, we can find the diameter, and the radius is half of that. So we're going to say the circumference equals pi times the diameter. We know this is 77.8. So we're just going to solve for d, or for the diameter. So divide both sides by pi. I'm just going to move it up here. So in my calculator, 77.8 divided by the pi button, then the equals button, and I'm going to do a video soon, I promise. As soon as I get caught up with module 10, we're going to do a video on the calculator. Okay, so divide both sides by pi. That cancels. So d equals, and it said nearest 100, so this is 24.764, so it's 24.76. So there's your diameter. The radius is half of that. And I'm not going to even show the math. I hope you guys know, by now it's half. And that's 12.38. these are centimeters. Should have wrote that with both, but you guys will get it. All right, so practice 3. They want the same thing. They want the circumference to the nearest 100th, and they give you the circumference, so you work that backwards to get the diameter, then cut it in half, and they'll give you the radius. All right, finishing up 10.1. So I'm going to do example 4, and you guys are going to do practice 4. Sorry, I've got a problem with this paper. All right, so the diameter, circle F. So circle F, it's 5. So that's the diameter I'm going to write just above it. So from from G all the way to A, it goes through F. That is the diameter of that guy, and it's 5. All right, so the diameter of circle G is 6. So I'm going to write below. And you see circle G goes from B all the way through G to C, and it's 6. So they want to know the length, excuse me, of BF. All right, let me look at my notes. Gotta hurry. Concert's about to start. Gotta be very quick. Okay. So from the midpoint, from the center of the circle. So G's the center here. That makes this side 5. I'm sorry, this side 3, because these are each 6. This side 3. Because F is the circle, the center for circle F, so it's 2.5 and 2.5. Now that's from F. So what we have, we have 2.5 from F to A. How did we get this? So it ends up, we're looking for BF. To get BF, hold on one second. All right, trying to hurry. Okay, BG equals, so BG, I'm going from here to here. So FG is your radius. But we need that radius, but we also need BF. That's the part we're looking for. So, how did I do this? All right, so from B to G is 6 because it's 3 because that's the radius here. FG from here to here, because that goes from the middle of this circle to here, is 2.5 plus BF. So we need to find BF. We're going to subtract 2.5 from both sides. They cancel here. So BF equals 3 minus 2.5, which is 0.5. I know that was quick, and I apologize. If you see me, if you need more help, let me know, and we'll go over that again together. You guys work this. So one's the diameter of J, one's the diameter of K. Break it into parts, and they want EK. They want this little bit because E is on this circle. So you're going to take this and find, you'll get it, I promise. But if you need some help, let me know. Till next time, have a good night.